Hi there, thanks for watching Art Time with Anderson. This is one method of how to do a double exposure portrait in Photoshop. So this is kind of the final piece here that we'll look at. Right here, I've got my image that I made a hair selection. I've used that refine edge tool. I've used the hair selection tool to really get a nice selection of the face and the body. And then I've done that on a layer mask. So right here, let's take a look at this guy. Okay, so if I option click that, then that will show me my layer mask. So there's my layer mask. If I go back here to the eye, it's going to show me the whole picture. Then if I shift click on the layer mask, we can see that I selected it from the background. So here is my image that I have, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edit. Oh, looks like this image is actually, there we go. I'm going to go to edit, define brush preset. So just so you know, this was grayed out just a minute ago. That's because it was on the layer mask versus being on the image. So I have to be on the image for that, and define brush preset, and I'm gonna call it Tessa looking serious. Okay. So I'm going to click OK on that, and now I have my brush. So a couple of different ways I could go from here to kind of get to my final product. So I can select all, that's in the select menu, select all, edit, copy, and that's basically that's a basic Word command. And then I'm going to go to edit, paste. Okay, and you can use the hotkeys for all of those. That's not exactly the image that I had, but if I go to Command T, I just hit a hotkey there, and that's edit, transform. I can actually transform the image here, and I just hold down Shift, and I can kind of get it where I want it there. And I can also resize this guy a little bit later. Okay, I'm going to double click and zoom back in. Now I can take the opacity here and pump it down a little bit and just kind of see. And this will give me the double exposure effect, but it doesn't look like she is actually like I want the image inside of her. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer right here, which is create new layer. I'm going to go to the paint bucket tool. I'm going to go to my default colors. I'm going to go right here to white, and I'm going to go to the paint bucket tool right here, not the gradient tool, paint bucket tool. And I'm just going to hit a layer of white down there. And because that layer is in between these two, it's going to actually hide the little girl down there. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this layer and I'm going to make a layer mask on that layer. And I will go ahead and I'm going to take my paint bucket tool here, and I'm going to dump black on it. Now we can see nothing, right? But everything's right here in our layers. And so I'm going to go to my brush tool now. And here's the magic of the layer mask, is that because it is black and white, I can take this brush that I've made this into a brush. And so I'm literally just painting one brush stroke, boom, and there it is. I have my image that is actually really looks like this. It's a layer mask. And so remember, everything in white will mask through and everything in black will mask out. And it just works really well with a high contrast portrait. You'll notice that kind of the edge of it is like her shoulders cut off a little bit. So I'm just gonna, and it's like too straight over here. So I'm gonna unlock this layer and I'm gonna go to the move tool up here, and all the tools in Photoshop, you scroll right over them. Oh, and there we go. I fixed it almost right away. Okay. And then what I could also do is I could just move it over a little bit and kind of see, you know, how do I like the final image here, and I could just hit Command T and just kind of look at exactly what it's doing and how I like it. I'm gonna double click. Now I'll lock these back up, and if I go ahead and duplicate this layer, I can actually intensify the effects a little bit. And I could make this, I could change these to overlay. Ooh, I actually don't know if I like that. Multiply, let's see, multiply. I like multiply, and then I can pump the opacity of it down a little bit, and I can play with both opacities there. So it's a little bit stronger looking image. I like that, but I definitely want to crop out some of this white space. So I'll come here to the crop tool and just pull it in right there, and right there, and right there. And I'm going to bring it up a little bit, just give it a little space on top. But if I'm going to do that, I actually have to come into this layer mask here and make sure that the rest of the background, oops, is painted in. So, and if you have a problem like I just did, I accidentally did the paint bucket on the actual image, you just go into your history, you go back, and now I'm just going to go into my layer mask and dump that black on there, and I saw it disappear in my layer mask and in both layer masks. And here I'm just going to dump the white in, and there we go. And now I have this final image, and I've just kind of like stamped it on there. Now the cool part about once you have the stamp is that you can then take another image. You can take a couple of images and you can just pop that layer mask onto it. So here really is kind of the meat and potatoes. You pop that layer mask onto it, you go to your paint bucket tool, just because it's a little bit easier, and you drop that black layer underneath it. You do a nice plain white layer on that black layer mask right here. You go to your brush tool and I'm just making it a little bit bigger. You can do that here in size. I'm using the bracket keys to do that actually. So I'm just hitting the bracket keys and it's making bigger or smaller. Have to be on white. Okay, and there we go. There we have it. And now I can unlock this little guy and move it around. And if I want to fix like this other side, because now it's like I kind of have like this stuff appearing, that's really just on the layer mask. So I can just go to my paint bucket, and again, anything you paint in black, it's going to hide, and anything you paint in white will see through. So there you go. That is a basic outline of how to create a double exposure portrait using the brush tool in Photoshop. Thanks for watching.